And from the sayings of Hassan al-Basri is the happiest you can be is when you disrespect the dunya, which doesn't mean like you throw money or something like that. It means that you don't allow this dunya to control you, right? You don't allow it to affect your moods. Al-Hajjaj, he lived in the time, mostly it was the Umayyad dynasty, but he did live in the time of the Abbasids. When the Abbasids took over, before the Abbasids took over, the Umayyads utilized Hajjaj ibn Yusuf. They utilized Al-Hajjaj ibn Yusuf. He was from Thaqif, which is the Ta'if. He was originally from Ta'if, which is a city above Mecca. And he was one of those, he was just ruthless. He was a ruthless leader that nobody could ever talk to. So when he took over the area, Iraq, he built a palace for himself. And then when the palace was done, he gathered the whole city and he wanted the people to see his might. And the people were just walking around the palace looking how amazing this palace was. Hassan al-Basri saw this and he said, this is something that we must speak at this time. So he went and he got up on something and he started giving people a speech about the zuhd in the dunya and the worthlessness of this world. Stop being so impressed with these palaces. Then Hajjaj ibn Yusuf, he saw this and he lost it. He lost it. And he said, none of you answered him. None of you stopped him. They said, it's Hassan al-Basri. At this time, he was a senior, right? Hassan al-Basri, what are we going to say to him? Okay. Who's going to talk to Hassan al-Basri? So he said, you're all cowards. I'm going to feed you his blood. I'm going to force feed you his blood right now. So he sat in his diwan. The diwan is like the sitting area of the king. And he said, bring me this man. So they brought him. They brought him and they said, be careful. He is fuming. And he said, and get the swordsman ready because we're going to slice his neck. So they brought him and they brought, okay, they saw him just whispering dhikr, dua the whole time. Nobody could see what he was saying, but his head was down and he was just making dua the entire time. He says, subhanallah. And there is the worker of Hajjaj's guards were all around him with the swords. As soon as they saw him, as soon as he entered, Hajjaj ibn Yusuf got up. They saw Hajjaj's face was completely bright with happiness. And he moved and he says, come sit right next to me. Come sit right next to me. Everyone would go shocked. And he honored him and he welcomed him. And he starts saying, أجلسه على مجلسه. He sat him down. وسط دهشه وعارمه والحاضرين. ثم بدأ يوجه إليه الأسئلة فيما يحير ويحتاج إلى علم وفقه. He started putting forth all the questions that he had in terms of his ruling, because he had questions related to, what should we do about this, that, and the other. ثم بدأ يوجه إليه الأسئلة والحسن يجيبه. And now Hassan is answering him back في كل ما يسأله من بما لديه من سعة علم وفضل. فما كان من الحجاج إلا أن قال له أنت سيد العلماء. And after this he said, you are the chief of all the scholars here. ثم قام خطيب له ليحلى Then he brought his secretary of the treasury and he said, go get the best tib that we have, which is like the incense. And he brought it and he packed it up and he gave it to Hassan al-Basri as a gift. And then he walked him to the door. فلما خرج الحسن وجد الحاجب خلفه ينادي عليه قائلا. He's then the main man, like the prime minister, you could say, or the minister or the chief guard of al-Hajjaj. He said, after they were walking out, he said, what did you say? He called you here to do something else. And I saw you whispering something. And by Allah, the swords were ready to cut your neck. So what were you saying? So Hassan al-Basri he laughed. He says, لَقَدْ قُلْتْ يَا وَلِيِّ نِعْمَتِي يَا مَلَاذِي عِنْدَ كُرْبَتِي اجعل نقمته بردا وسلاما علي كما جعلت النار بردا وسلاما على إبراهيم. He said, oh, protector of my blessing, which is like my life, and my protector at every trial and tribulation, make his anger, Hajjaj's anger, cool and peaceful in the same way that you made the fire of Ibrahim cool and peaceful. So you see, even the highest level of the governments at that time, they were seeing these karamat with their own two eyes. That's why they had taqwa. I mean, you can't at that point go against that. You can't basically deny the truth of dhikr, truth and the power of deen when you see it right in front of your face like that. And so that was from the height of Hassan al-Basri, that he was one of the only people that was able to stand up to Hajjaj bin Yusuf. Hajjaj ibn Yusuf killed so many people ruthlessly. He was the only one that was able to stand up to him and speak, and literally his heart changed. Hajjaj ibn Yusuf never gave Hassan al-Basri a problem ever again. And from the upbringing of Al-Hassan al-Basri is that as soon as he grew up, he started studying with the Sahaba and joining them wherever they joined. And he traveled with the army. He did jihad. He fought. And where did he fight? Khurasan, far away. And he spent a lot of time in Kabul. So if you're Afghani out there, all right, you're going to be happy because he spent a lot of time in the city of Kabul. The city of Kabul, subhanAllah, this is an ancient Islamic city. This is not some city that was conquered way later. This is the first generation. They had Sahaba there. They had Tabi'een there. And he spent a lot of time in the city of Kabul. When he came back, he decided to settle in the city of Basra, and that's where he got his name, Al-Hassan al-Basri.